Good evening, and thanks for coming here today. With me, of course, as Mr. Shipley pointed out, is Commissioner Fred BFL, Baltimore Police Department, Colonel Dean Palmer, directly behind me, Chief of Detectives for Baltimore PD, and Major Ron Cullison, Commander of our Criminal Investigation Division with the Maryland State Police. And Lieutenant Colonel Pete Landon, our Chief of Field Operations Bureau. Just after 7:30 yesterday morning, two troopers were crossing the Conowingo Dam on Route 1 when they were flagged down by persons at the dam who indicated there was a body floating in the water of the Susquehanna River. The body was spotted on the Harford County side of the river, and later that morning, about 10 a.m., Natural Resource Police Department officers were able to remove the body of a female from the water. After an on-scene examination by police and forensic investigators, the body was taken to the office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Baltimore City. While the investigation was continuing, another body was reported below the dam, that'd be to the east of the dam, about 3 or 4 miles away. That second body was recovered about 2 p.m. The same day yesterday. These were boaters who spotted that. The Natural Resource Police Department officers recovered that body also. Both bodies were found unclothed. The distance between the locations of the bodies was about 3 to 4 miles. Autopsies were conducted on both bodies today at the office of the Chief Medical Examiner. Doctors used dental records to positively identify the body of 16-year-old Phylicia Barnes this afternoon. The cause and manner of death of Ms. Barnes is still pending. The medical examiner is conducting further tests and forensic examinations. The male has not been identified. His cause and manner of death has not been determined, but the medical examiner has indicated that it is a black male. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. Maryland State Police Homicide Unit investigators notified police throughout the region about the recovered bodies, and we're now working with the Baltimore Police Department homicide detectives and the ongoing investigation they had with Phylicia Barnes. Baltimore police detectives responded to the scene at the Susquehanna River Dam and began working with the Maryland State Police. We are now co-located with the Baltimore Police Department on the 5th floor of their headquarters building in Baltimore. There'll be full cooperation between the departments and the state police homicide investigators and the Baltimore Police Homicide Unit. This is not the first time that we've investigated crimes together, homicides and such. We work in task forces on guns, warrants, and gangs, so there is no concern about us and the cooperation that's going on. Our mission today, of course, is to find out what occurred in these situations with Ms. Barnes and the unidentified male that was recovered at the same time. With that, I'll turn this over to Commissioner Fred Biefeld from the Baltimore Police Department.
Thank you, Colonel Sheridan. First of all, I want to, on behalf not just of the Baltimore City Police Department, but I know I speak for Colonel Sheridan and all of the state of Maryland in extending our deepest condolences to the Salas and Barnes family. All of us, since that fateful day in December, have been praying and hopeful for a different outcome. And unfortunately, we are here today. As you know, from the very beginning, from December 28th of last year, when young Phylicia Barnes went missing in northwest Baltimore, we've drawn on the resources of federal, state, and local partners to try to bring this case to closure. We've worked closely during that time with the Maryland State Police, and so detectives and our partners were very intimate in our efforts. We're going to continue to work as hard now as we've worked all those days since December 28th. And our goal simply is to bring closure to Phylicia Barnes' family and figure out what happened and hold those responsible accountable. Thank you.
Any questions from anybody?
Well, it's certainly big, but again, we're now at stage one of a new phase of the investigation, a new phase. And so there's a lot of work now that needs to be done. As the Colonel said, they just did the preliminary autopsy today, and so there's a mountain of investigative work that needs to be done.
Well, as the Commissioner pointed out, Phylicia Barnes went missing on December 28th of last year, and the medical examiner said it's not out of the realm of possibility that the body could have been in the water that long. Now, remember, the Susquehanna River is a cold running river. It's 200 miles long. We've had a cold winter, and when you put a body in a cold body of water, it will stay pretty much intact for a long period of time. And it's only when the heat from the surrounding environment gets into the body that we see a difference or a change in the body. But the medical examiner has indicated to us that it's not out of the realm of possibility that the body could have been there. Well, there was no indication of any overt wounds or injuries to Phylicia Barnes' body. Other than their being in the same river, 4 miles apart, and found within hours of each other, there's no other indication of any connection. Yes. That'll all come later with as the autopsy and the examination and the testing and analysis of tissue and such go on, but there's nothing to indicate any of that right now. Yes, we've gotten fingerprints from that body, and we're now running them through our automated fingerprint identification system here in Maryland, and also through the FBI's Criminal Justice Information Center for a national search.
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, I want to say again, and I'll say as often as possible, all of us, obviously, all of us, I don't think you're excluded, prayed for a different outcome to this case. And, but finding her body is really going to be instrumental in giving us an opportunity to bring closure to the family. And just without it, it would have been an incredibly difficult case. But now, it gives investigators a real opportunity. Again, we're at the very beginning of this phase of the investigation. Sure, but if you, and I know that all of you reported extensively about our efforts, we didn't limit the scope of our efforts to the borders of Baltimore City. Most of you covered our most recent efforts out in Patapsco State Park. We work through national networks to get attention across the entire country. I believe there was foreign language stations that picked up this story, and so we didn't limit our search to Baltimore. We didn't limit our search to the state of Maryland. We set out a nationwide net to try to find out what happened to Miss Barnes. We wouldn't exclude anything. We just, again, by way of demonstrated effort in this case since December 28th, not just the Baltimore Police Department, but everyone associated, they've given it their very best effort. And I'm entirely confident, as the Colonel said, we have a fantastic working relationship. Our detectives work together now. We've done that in the past, and I'm very confident of moving forward of the results we're going to get. Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, it's horrible. It's horrible. You know, it's the worst possible news you could give to any mother, and it's the last bit of news they ever wanted to hear. And so it's just a very difficult situation for everyone, and horrible for that family. Yeah, I wouldn't comment about that kind of specific information. It's just way too early to say. It's way too early to say. Well, again, a testament to these men and Colonel Sheridan's resolve. Just, you know, picking right up and carrying this thing forward. We've already set up a system to integrate our detectives with their detectives so that there is a seamless work being done to again, bring this case to closure. Again, I would not speculate further. We don't have a final ruling from the chief medical examiner.
We haven't gotten to that stage of it yet. They're plotting out searches and such in that area where the body was found, and of course the second body and upstream also. If you've ever been to the Susquehanna River, it's a pretty fast-moving river. And with all this rain, with the floodgates opening, a lot of debris, a lot of stuff that gets into the river has been washed down stream into the Chesapeake Bay. But we're looking for it, we're searching, and plotting out going after it. No, nothing was found on the bodies, attached to the bodies when we recovered them from the river. Yes, it could have been. We're waiting now to talk to some smart people about those kinds of things, taking the time frames that the commissioners talked about and taking a look at that. We're not going to spare any expense for this to try and find out what happened to these two people, and it's going to take a lot of work. As the commissioner pointed out, we've put our two groups together. We've got, I believe, about 12 homicide investigators currently with the Baltimore Police Department, getting oriented in the case and learning all that they can about it. The Baltimore Police Department's lived with this for 4 months. We've had it for a little over 24 hours. May have, or they may have. If you look at that river, you look how fast it's moving. When they open these floodgates up, it's all sorts of things could have happened. It'd be conjecture on anything that any of us said about that. We'll have to wait for that forensic results and the investigators to tell us those kinds of things. But some of the tests that the medical examiner's office conducts will take weeks to get back the results. They can't be done overnight. and it's a very critical phase of the investigation is the phase that the medical examiner is conducting. We need their information to determine manner and cause of death in this. So if someone is responsible for the death of these people, we want to make sure we have all the evidence we possibly can. There was a tattoo that got everybody's attention, and from that tattoo that was located on the lower extremity, the investigation went further.